Hey, what's up guys, it's Cypher, and I'm bringing you the updated Nightblade stamina build. You might hear some echoes going off in the background. That's because I'm in a new recording room, and it's kind of empty, so I do apologize for the echoes. I will take care of that very soon. Now, the reason I'm making this build video is because I've changed a lot, or enough to, have to make an update video for the original Stamina Nightblade 2H bow build that I have on my channel. So I'm just going to cover the main changes in this video instead of going through the entire build, because if you want to see the entire build, you can go watch the previous build video, and then if you want to see the updated changes, you can see them in this build video. Now, let's start off with gear changes. So in the original video, we were using the 5-piece skirmisher with 3 Ashen Grip. Well, since then I've gotten the Engine Guardian set, and I honestly do really like the Engine Guardian set. A lot of people are afraid that it pulls you out of stealth. The tether doesn't actually follow you while you're in stealth, so if you do get like one of the stamina, magicka, or health tethers and you start moving around in stealth, it won't give away your location. That's a very big misconception that some people have for this set. So it's really good for sustain, and I definitely do recommend it. If you don't have it, you can go 2-piece of the air, or just use the original skirmisher plus Ashen Grip setup, which is still perfectly viable. The only way I will go back to the skirmisher setup is if I get my hands on a Masters 2H and bow. That would make the build complete for me on that aspect, but since I don't have a Masters 2H or bow, I'm using this setup instead. So instead of 5 pieces of skirmisher on the body, we're using 4 pieces of Hunding's Rage. And Hunding's Rage gives you weapon critical, max stamina, and weapon damage. And then the 5th piece of Hunding's Rage is going to be our weapons. So we have the Maul of Hunding's Rage and then the Bow of Hunding's Rage. Of course, on the Maul, I'm using the weapon damage enchantment. It's pretty useful. It does say it's only 64 weapon damage, but including all of your buffs that you have and the way the weapon damage scales, it's actually at least an extra 100 weapon damage for 5 seconds every time you light attack. Of course, sharpened as the trait, and then we're using a mace because of armor penetration. It actually ends up hitting more than a sword. For the bow, you're also using sharpened, and have disease on the bow just to get that health debuff from time to time. Now, for jewelry, we're still using the Shadow Walker jewelry, except since we can complete the 5-piece with our weapons, which you can't do with skirmisher, we're using leg guards of the Shadow Walker to complete the 4-piece Shadow Walker. This is giving us weapon damage, max stamina, and recovery. So you could, use the leg guards of the Shadow Walker. If you don't have the leg guards, you have the boots. You can also use boots of the Shadow Walker. That works as well, but you would have to wear Hunding's Rage pants. Now, for actual abilities, our first bar is about the same, except I've decided that I like Ambush more than Critical Rush. Critical Rush hits a lot harder, I understand that, because it always crits and it crits through shields. But the thing about Ambush is, first of all, you can gap close from point blank range. So if you're rooted, you can also gap close while you're rooted. You don't have to dodge roll to gap close, because with the Critical Rush, if you're rooted, you can't dodge roll. You can't gap close, I mean. But with this, you can gap close while rooted. You can also gap close up and down. Like if someone's on top of a rock, you can't really get to them with Crit Rush. So Ambush gives you a lot more mobility. Sure, it's less damage in some cases, but it's a lot more mobile, and that's why I picked Ambush over Critical Rush. That's about it. Of course, for your ultimate, you can use Soul Harvest, or you can use Flawless Lawbreaker. I've been using both of them back and forth. They're really useful. No other changes on the front bar. Back bar, same old, same old. Of course, I am getting Vigor very, very soon. I need about like 20k more AP until I unlock Vigor. So people are going to ask me, like, where are you going to put Vigor on your bar? So I have 2 options. I can take off Lethal Arrow, put Vigor there. I can take off Piercing Mark. I'm kind of leaning towards taking off Piercing Mark and then just running with some extra detect potions if I ever run into Nightblades that are constantly stealthing up, because Piercing Mark pretty much like shuts down most Nightblade builds, which is why I really love having it on my bar. But at the same time, I do need to fit something for Vigor, so it's probably that or Lethal Arrow. The reason I've been using Lethal Arrow is because from a distance, you can actually shoot a lethal arrow, swap to your main bar, ambush, surprise attack, and all that lands at the same time. So it's very, very good for setting up bursts. I use this a lot against sorcerers who have like 30, 20k shields, however big their shields get. Lethal arrow helps me like put a dent into it to set up my burst. You could also, if you don't want to use lethal arrow, you can use Relentless Focus. This is going to give you an extra 10% stamina regen and an extra 8% damage. You don't actually use the 7 light attacks, that's not worth it, but if you want to put it here to get some extra damage and regen, you can feel free to do that as well. So again, where's Vigor going to go? It's probably going to replace Piercing Mark. We're still using Ice Comet as our ultimate. You could also use Soul Tether if you wanted to. Guys, that is about it for the updates. If you want to see, passives, you want to see champion points, I guess I could show you what I'm doing with my champion points, to be honest with you, because I have put a lot more points into this since the start, and I guess I'll just put that there. So let's start over here. We have 31 points into increasing our spell resist. This, works well with Nirnhund to increase your spell resist. 10 points into reducing critical damage. I'm starting to put some points into medium armor focus so I can get that armor buff, get that armor up. And then of course I'm using 30 points into here. It's kind of important to have at least 30 points in here just because after dodge rolling your armor and spell resist will go up by 640. And that's something you don't want to give up really. So over here, 30 points into reducing magical damage, 22 into elemental defender. That's about it. 10 into reducing magic cost of spells. This is kind of important. 20 into reducing stamina cost, 40 points into stamina recovery, that's really important. I'm starting to put points into magic recovery as well. And then 25 into tumbling, that's about all you really need for tumbling. You don't have any in this constellation. Over here, 10 and 10 for your bow and 2H attacks. And then 32 into increasing your critical damage, 43 into increasing your physical damage, and then 1 into piercing, because piercing, same thing as the light armor, spell penetration. They both don't work too well, and 1 is like the most you'll get out of it. So that's what I have for my champion points. If you just wanted to see the updated champion points, of course, real quick, let me let you look at the stats. The stamina recovery is a lot higher because they did buff drinks, and that's great. I'm using the Warrior Mundus Stone, and I'm using triple regen food. So that's all I have for this build video. It's an updated build video. If you want to see the original build with all the extra details, go check it out on the original video. And I will have this on my website, by the way. If you want to go see this in more detail, visit cypherpk.com and go to the Stamina Nightblade build. I'll have this video up there and all the extra details for you guys to look at. Thank you guys so much. By the way, I'm really close to 20,000 subscribers. I just want to give you guys a heads up and thank you beforehand, because I think we will be getting there in like a couple of days. So I will be live streaming daily like I am right now. So check out my Twitch, twitch.tv/cypherpk. And I guess that's about it. If you have any questions, feel free to comment, and I will see you guys soon.